I'm here today to talk to you about sauces. Now, there's a little bit of this myth around healthy foods, that healthy foods can be a bit bland. If you are presented with bland food, or if you cook bland food at home, a bit of sauce goes a long way. You can add a huge punch of flavour with the right sauce. And so that's why I'm here today, to show you what sauces might be really good for you to have at home. So this presented me with two issues. One, it revealed that I have something of a sauce problem. And two, trying to define the essential sauces that everybody needs. Now, I've tried to break this down into 7 categories. And my feeling is, if you had one of each of these 7, you've got a really good range of sauces at home. And what I've done is I've put probably the most typical example of each one at the front. So actually, if you just went and bought one of each of these 7, you'd be good. But I'm going to explain what the categories are, and then I'm going to go into each of the categories and just show you what the variations are and what they might be good for. So, starting with ketchups, I had to look up what a ketchup actually is. Ketchup is essentially a pureed chutney. It's all it is, really. There is vinegar, there's sugar in there, but the most famous of which is tomato ketchup. Then you got the mayonnaises. Now, Heinz tomato ketchup, Hellmann's mayonnaise. I know that they both make the other one as well, but why would you? Other brands are available. Mustards, hot sauces. These are the two that get a little bit tricky. Essentially, these are all the fruit-based ones, and you got jams, and you got chutneys and pickles. Essentially, sweet and sour. And then salad dressings. Now, there will be some people that will want to tell me that salad cream isn't a salad dressing. My grandma always used to put salad cream on my salad when I grew up, and if you want to tell her she's wrong, that's entirely up to you, but I count that as a salad dressing. For now, I think the front row is a pretty good suggestion of where we want to start. Focusing on ketchups, you can get very simple, straightforward, really regular tomato ketchup. Fantastic, wonderful, brilliant. You can also get fancier tomato ketchups. They are lovely. They taste a little bit different. Some are a little bit sweeter, some are a little bit more savory, but essentially they all do the same thing. Tomato ketchup just brings that good punch of flavor. My wife loves it on things like fish pie, because when you've got something that's very creamy, it just adds that little bit of acidity to cut through that creaminess and just add a little bit of extra punch. We've then got the British classic brown sauce. Brown sauce is a ketchup. Essentially, it's a date ketchup. Date and spices and a little bit of vinegar in there. Really tasty with your breakfast. Everyone knows about it on bacon rolls. Daddy's, HP, they're good, but try this. You then got some of the alternative ketchups. So this is black garlic ketchup. Black garlic ketchup sounds very odd. It doesn't taste garlicky. Like it's not gonna give you vampire breath. I had this actually on my honeymoon. It was a really amazing dish that was roast potatoes with sour cream and black garlic ketchup. Just an amazing dish, like as an addition to your Sunday roast. Yes, worth looking at. There are such a variety of barbecue sauces. These are 2 of my favorites. You got the Stubbs and the Sweet Baby Ray's. Some are thick, some are thin, some are more marinades, some are more sauces, some are sweet, some are spicy. Find the one that you like and stick with it. I say you probably only really need to have 1 ketchup. You don't need to have 7, but pick which one you want. And if you've got a ketchup in your cupboard, you're gonna be doing pretty well. Yeah, mayonnaises, they can be a real range. You can get your straightforward, everyday, normal mayonnaise. They're fantastic. You can also then get slightly fancier versions. So Hellmann's also make an olive oil mayonnaise, they make a low-fat mayonnaise, lots of different types. You can also then get fancier mayonnaises. And the fancy mayonnaises, they've got a stronger flavor, and so that might be a good thing, might not be such a good thing, but you try it and you decide which ones you like. Then move on to the mayonnaise-based sauces. So you got things like burger sauce. I have to say, if you haven't had burger sauce before, get some. Works brilliantly on burgers, also works fantastically with chips, and with pretty much anything else as well. This is a Marks & Spencer's version, but you can get it from anywhere. Essentially, I think what they're trying to replicate is McDonald's secret sauce. Baconaise. If you haven't tried Baconaise on sweet potato fries, you need that in your life. And then we get onto the creamy ones that are kind of, they're not mayonnaises, but they're of a similar sort of ilk. So you've got things like tartar sauce, hollandaise sauce, béarnaise sauce. Fantastic, but probably more specific for certain types of foods. So I wouldn't say this is an essential, but if you really like having fish regularly, having some tartar sauce in your fridge is always going to be a good thing. So yeah, give it a go and see what you think. So that's mayonnaises and creamy sauces covered. Now, mustards, really good way to add a little bit of heat, but without necessarily going down the chili route. A whole bunch of different types of mustard. You've got everything from your traditional whole grain, English mustard, French Dijon, American deli mustard, and then you get some interesting sort of creamy ones like dill mustard sauce, that's fantastic in sandwiches actually. And well, all of them work in sandwiches. Because they can vary depending on how hot and spicy they can be, it's just worth trying different ones. I would say most households probably only need one rather than 5, but as we've addressed before, I have a problem with buying too many sauces. So try which one works for you. I really like this on sausages. I think this is fantastic with sausages. This, beef, absolutely perfect. So it's just a question of whatever you think works best for you. We're focusing on the pepper sauces. Now, this can be everything from sweet chili sauce, which has a very small amount of heat, but is not a spicy sauce, through to the absolutely ludicrous. I would say find a pepper sauce that suits your spice level and stick with that. I like to buy lots of different pepper sauces because I like to try them, and some of them are painful and some of them are wonderful. Sriracha, probably one of the most ubiquitous ones around the world. But I grew up with this one. This is a Bayesian hot pepper sauce. My stepdad's from Barbados and I grew up having a lot of this. This one, interestingly, is much more turmeric based. This one is much more pepper based, sweet chili. It's also worth finding, it's not just about the heat with pepper sauces. So some of them, for example, this, there isn't a lot more than just heat. This one, if you haven't seen the Hot Wings series on YouTube, go and have a look at that. That one is a destroyer of worlds for many, many people. That one essentially has extract of pepper spray in it, which is an interesting ingredient to choose to have on your food. But then you can also get lots of nice fruity sauces. So this one is pineapple, this one is blueberry, and this one is mango. And this one's relatively mild, a little bit hotter, bit hotter. And so the fruity sauces add in an extra something. This is where all the categories start to blend together, because actually these are hot sauces, but they're fruity sauces too, and so you get all these different changes. And then you get some quite interesting ones. This is one of my current favorites. So this is a garlic and pepper sauce. That one, very, very, very hot. It's not as hot as the bomb, but it is still very hot. Now, what I really like doing is actually mixing that with a bit of mayonnaise and making a hot mayonnaise. It's not as hot as having it on its own, but it is very, very tasty. So with hot sauces, if you are finding that they're too hot, mix it with a bit of mayonnaise. It'll often just cool it off enough that you can enjoy the flavors without having to suffer the heat. Jams and jellies. So these are not jams and jellies that you'd have on your toast for breakfast, but jams and jellies that you'd have for dinner with your meats typically, but to be able to sweeten up an otherwise very savory dinner. Because actually that balance between textures and flavors, that's what makes sauces really interesting. If you've got something that's very creamy, you want something that will cut through that. If you've got something that's very savory and salty, you want a bit of sweetness just to liven that up. So the jams are the sweet fruit sauces essentially. And we've got your typical ones like your applesauce, your red currant jelly. This is another red currant jelly with port. Those ones typically go with roast dinners, but actually add a little bit into something else if you want to. It goes really nicely. Just, if you're having a dinner and you're thinking this just feels a little bit too savory, add some of that in, it'll be lovely. Sweet chili jam. Sweet chili jam is a fantastic and wonderful thing. It goes brilliantly in sandwiches. There's not a lot that doesn't go with. Essentially, It's the thicker version of a sweet chili sauce, and frankly, sweet chili sauce goes with everything as well. And then we get things like Quince. And Quince is a very, very thick jelly that is fantastic with cheeses. It's just as an alternative to having cheese and pickle, cheese and quince, yeah, really genuinely lovely. Like I say, you probably don't need to have all of these in your cupboard, but what I would say is certain ones, so like the applesauce, very typical of roast pork, red currant jelly, that'll go with whatever red currant jelly goes with. But actually, I would say of all of them, sweet chili jam, if you've got that in your cupboard, you're not going far wrong. I realized when I was putting all this together, I actually omitted probably one of the most famous pickles that you can get, which is Branston Pickle. So I would say that's probably a really good choice to have on your list. I would say as a second choice, a bit of mango chutney, really good option. Nice and sweet, little bit of sourness, mix it in with some mayonnaise, you've got a brilliant sort of coronation sauce. Chutneys and pickles have that sourness, that vinegar to them that the jams don't have, but can come in such a range of flavors. It's very difficult to actually pin down which is the one you should have. There are certain things. So this one, for example, is a garlic chutney, and my wife really doesn't like that one. It's garlic and nigella seeds, but I think it's fantastic with meats and cheeses. On the other hand, you've got things like the red onion chutney, you've got cranberry and red wine relish. So that's it's got a bit more of that sweetness, but that savouriness and that, yeah, you've got all sorts of different flavours. And then you've got the one that will divide people, which is piccalilli. Now, some people love piccalilli, and I get it. I think it's all right. Wouldn't ever be my first choice, but I think it's all right. Some people cannot stand the stuff. My mother hates it. I was 18 before I knew it existed. So piccalilli, one that's worth trying, is essentially like a mustard cauliflower pickle. When I say that, I suddenly realize why some people don't like the idea of it. But definitely worth seeking out and trying if you haven't. Salad dressings. We've already acknowledged that I have a problem with having too many sauces in my house. And salad dressings are the most lacking area of my dressings. And that's partly down to the fact that most of the time, if I want a dressing for my salad, I'll mix some vinegar and some oil, or some lime juice and some oil, bit of salt, bit of pepper, and that's my dressing. Really simple, nice and sharp, good and tangy. That's what I'll tend to go with. I don't often dress a salad, but it's a useful thing to have if you are getting a bit fed up with having the same salad all the time. Adding a little bit of dressing to it can just improve the flavor slightly. Now, salad cream is what I had growing up. My grandmother thinks this is the ultimate salad dressing. Some people will tell me this isn't a salad dressing. I think they're wrong. Caesar salad dressing, classic. Everyone should have some Caesar salad dressing in their house somewhere. And then you get the slightly different ones. So as you can see, mine tend to be the slightly creamier dressings. You can also get vinaigrettes pre-mixed, but again, like I say, normally I would tend to mix my own. This is a poppy seed dressing that is really nice, has a slight bit of savouriness to it, and it works really well if you're mixing fruits in with your salad. Not a fruit salad, but if you're having, maybe in the summer, some sliced strawberries in with your salad, just to bring it out, that balances really well with that. So that's my brief rundown of salad dressings. Enjoy your dinner. Bye-bye.